G'day crew, and welcome to part 2 of my overnighting video. Before we get into the video itself, I'll just go over a few sounder shots that I took from the day before. I think it's interesting to have a look at how the different sounders compare to each other. This first image is from the hummingbird. It shows a school of fish in mid-water around about 10 metres down. And this is a little video from the time zero unit, just showing that same school of fish on the various displays available in the time zero unit. You can see it comes in the top left-hand panel in the number 2 beam just momentarily, but it's an A-scope for a fan-shaped beam. So you got the left is number 1, the centre is number 2, and the right is number 3. Then you can see in the top right-hand view, the blob that's a fish school moves from right to left as you would in a normal sounder shot. What you're seeing here is the panel on the left there is the left-hand image that corresponds to number 1 that we just looked at in the fan-shaped view. The centre panel corresponds to number 2, which is under the boat, and the right-hand panel corresponds to number 3, which is off to the right. So you can see that school's pretty much under the boat. You can also see it in the side view as it comes into scope, and again it's showing in the water column pretty much under the boat. And of course the 3D view on the bottom right hand corner shows the school of fish, and they're in sort of a greeny colour. That shows they're about 10 metres. I've got that set to show the schools of fish in a different colour depending on their depth. And you can see the scale of that depth there. It runs from 0 down to about 13 metres, and 10 metre-ish mark is where those fish were showing up in the greeny, sort of bluey green tinge to them. So it's all a bit of feedback exactly where those fish are. And this is another school of fish, again in the mid-water column around about 10 metre mark, showing it in the hummingbird first again. You can see it there in the conventional view, in the down imaging and in the side imaging. In the side imaging you can tell that that school of fish is pretty much directly under the boat, and from the down imaging it looks like some reasonable sized fish there. So worth having a drop on it, which I did in a lot of these cases from the day before, but despite having some good bait I couldn't entice a bite out of many things. But moving on to the time zero view, again you'll see these fish coming in on the top left hand corner of the fan shaped A-scope. That only shows the fish when they are immediately under the transducer. It's a very thin beam front to back, and you just see the fish as they pass through that beam. So like an A-scope, it's a very quick thing. If you're not looking at it, you won't see the fish. But it is very accurate to show exactly where those fish are placed in the water column. And again, you can see here they're 10 metres down, that school in the fan-shaped A-scope. You can see them coming in the conventional view, or more or less conventional view, split into 3, left, centre and right. And that's picking up a lot more fish than we're seeing in the hummingbird. I've always found that the Peruno is great for picking up fish when you get it tuned in. Picks up a lot of small ones, but that's sort of counterintuitive to me, because I would have thought the hummingbird with its much higher frequency would pick up smaller fish. Maybe it's just the way I've got them tuned. I do tune out a lot of the garbage out of the hummingbird, so it's probably all in the tuning. But the Peruno is great for picking up fish. And of course, Time Zero is not really Peruno, they're a separate company, but they do the software for the Peruno TZ3s and TZ2s, etc. And of course, with modern fish finders, it's the software that counts, because that's what analyses the beams and decides what's down there. Again, you can see the school of fish in the down imaging. It is in the mid-water column. Did I say down imaging? I meant side imaging. And also, you can see it in the 3D view. I don't have any captures from the Peruno for this particular school. I don't have any captures from the Peruno for this trip, because the recorder I use is broken. I'm getting a replacement. That hasn't happened yet. Probably a couple of trips away before that arrives. And just a final look at the comparisons. This one's a bit of structure on the bottom of Harry's. All the others were from Harry's too, by the way. And you can see in the hummingbird image that hasn't picked up much in the way of fish. The down imaging hasn't shown much fish. I can see maybe 2 or 3, 4 there. See a little bit more in the conventional view. They don't look like big fish at all. And to be honest, I'm not seeing anything in the side view, but that may be because it scrolled off the screen. The side view in this screen configuration scrolls off the screen a lot quicker than either of the down imaging or conventional views. So maybe that scrolled off screen before I got around to taking the screenshot from it. But here in the time zero, we can see the fish in the pan-shaped A-scope under the boat. Look to be some reasonable sized fish holding on that structure. Again, in the more or less conventional view with 3 components to it in the top right-hand corner, we can see quite a few fish in that. You can see the fish in the side imaging, this time more or less to the right, that bigger school of fish, more or less to the right of the structure and a little bit off of it. And again, of course, we can see it in 3D view. Now, personally, I find the Furuno, or the time zero unit, which shows pretty much the same images as a Furuno unit, TZ3 that is, I find that easier to interpret, and I can spot the fish better in that than I can with the Hummingbird. Part of that's because the Hummingbird has a smaller screen, less pixels on the screen, and that makes it harder to see the fish. They show up smaller, harder to see, harder to read, harder to interpret, for me anyway. The time zero unit uses the screen of the TZ3, which is a 16-inch screen, 1920 by 1080 pixel resolution, so very high resolution. I can see the screen, everything shows up much better. And that's also probably part of the reason why I'm seeing fish on there that I don't see on the Hummingbird. Again, it all comes down to pixel resolution, screen size, as well as the transducer frequencies and settings. There's a lot to it. It's Dawn from Harry's. I don't know why I bother anchoring up in a fishing zone, because all I do when it gets dark is I get tired and I go to bed. Waste of time really. It was glassy smooth last night when I anchored up, or up until about 2:30 this morning. Then she got a bit rough again. Never mind, it was nice up until then. As you can see, it's a little bit rough this morning. Boat's bouncing around a bit. It'll calm down when the tide turns. And this is what I was saying about the forecast and the wind coming up above the forecast. Sunday, Monday's great. The wind's either at or below forecast. It poked its head above the forecast for a little bit, but not very much, and not above 10 knots. But come Tuesday morning, it decided to get all the way up to, what's that, about 16, 18 knots. That's about what I estimated from looking at the wind on the waves, on the water, the white caps that were forming. And then after that it dropped right off, which was great. Didn't even get up to the forecast in the afternoon. Stayed below 10 knots for the rest of the day. It just goes to show you've got to keep your eye on things. You can't rely on the forecast entirely. And the tide direction against the wind makes a big difference as well. So what may be comfortable with an incoming tide may be quite uncomfortable when the tide turns, and vice versa. I'm on to something this morning. I've already pulled the hook on one thing. I don't think he's real big. Not real big, but it's the right species. Settle down. What are you? Okay. 38. He'll do. Not huge, but he'll do for a feed. Put you in there, I think. Brain spike can lead you in a minute. Right, let's see about brain spike. That's got you. Sharpen my knife this time, so it's much easier. Wind's well above forecast this morning. She's running about 11-12 knots, I reckon. Something on this one. Drop back a little bit so I can get it in. It's not a grinner. Wow, didn't you eat that? Boy, that was ambitious of you. Teach you for being greedy, though. And given how rough it was this morning, when I woke up, it's certainly calmed down a lot now. We had a bit of rain come through, and after the rains, it's gotten quite calm again. Wind's died right off. Must have got up for probably about 16, 18 knots at one point, I reckon. Now she's died right back again. And this is trolling a little bit later in the day. I had a troll around Harry's, see if I could pick up a snapper and see if I could see anything on the sounder that was worth stopping and dropping a bait on. Didn't see much that morning, and I decided to go for a troll. It was a bit rough anyway. Just after I started trolling, the wind dropped right off and it calmed right down, but I was already on the trolling path, so I kept on going. Didn't get anything, just grinner after grinner after grinner again. I think it was probably the most successful trip I've ever had for catching grinners. Not that I wanted to, but that's what happened. Anyway, I wanted to get off the water fairly early, pick up the crab pots around 9 o'clock-ish, and that worked in well with the idea of just keeping on trolling down from Harry's over towards Green and back down to pick up the crab pots before I went back to the ramp at Raby Bay. That's what I did. Yep, got him. That one was a bit of a stretch. Oh, so much better to pull this up with a thicker rope. Oh, I've got something in him. He's not empty, that's for sure. One buck anyway. It should be size, and the rest look like jennies. Oh, I didn't know I ever had a bit of a feed. Yeah, oh, I'll get that buck out and see what he goes. And the rest are definitely jennies. Oh, you're missing a claw too, aren't you, fella? Alright. You're going to be borderline. Oh, just legal. By a couple of millimetres. So you'll do. And wife will have a crab sandwich at least. Even if we get nothing else. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 10 in the pot, 9 jennies. Come on, stupid. And you. Don't be silly. There we go. I've got some weight. Oh. We've got a few crabs in here. Whoa. Quite a few. Oh, and what have we got there? Little shark. Oh, yeah. I've got a few males in here anyway. At least 3 of them are going to be size, maybe 4. As soon as you're presenting yourself. Camera battery, I've got 2 crabs so far. This one's going to be small by a long shot. About 3-4 millimetres. This one's a candidate though, if you'll let go. Yep, definitely size, so that's 3. They're going to make it as well. 4. You'll be borderline, won't you? Missed by about 2 millimetres. And you're small by 3 millimetres. Let go of that and you can go back in the water. So that's 2, 4,
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 in this pot. And again, the majority females, egg bearing. Oh, hang on, we've got another male up here. There, didn't see you. That's 15 in the pot. He's small. Hugely small. Oh, and you still there. Well, that's not real bright here. Oh, a bit of weight on this one too. Oh yes, good load. Good load, few jennies, but good load nonetheless. Oh, here, get some of that mud off. Oh, it's all around it. Right, okay, see about getting yours out now. Looks like I managed to feed out of this lot. So, 4 now. Oh, shy by a millimetre. He's a big one, and he's heavy. Whoa, he's heavy. He is really big. 5. Alright, get our jail free card for you. Take 2 more, 1 small there. This one's probably small, but we'll get him out and check him just the same. This feisty little fella, yeah, he's small by about 3 mils. If you let go of that, you can go. Your size, definitely. Yep, by about 5 or 6 mil. That's 6. I think this will be undersized. Oh, by about 1/2 millimetre. Just a wriggle. You're undersized. So there's a claw off one. And, oh, better check you. I'll miss seeing you. I think you might be sized. You are. That's 7. I've 3 jennies in here. Oh no, that's a male. 2 males. Oof. They don't look male. And claws. Young. Undersized. By a good bit. Yeah. Yeah, undersized. One doesn't feel as heavy as the others. I've got some in them. Oh yeah. Can't complain about that actually. Oh, wow, cannot complain about that. That's a good haul. Oh, the old Mac tuna did its job. I'll get some of that mud off here. That'll do. Wow, how many are we going to get out of here? I think we're up to 6. We're going to get a good 6 out of this, I think. Oh, so that's 7. Come on, boys, don't hold hands. Oh, I know you're not going to be legal. This is awkward. You are. That 8. No, you're not. You're not. And question is, are you? I don't think so. No, definitely not. Oh, ooh, wasn't watching you. I was watching this other bloke. You're legal. 9. Get you next because being smart. Yep, you're legal. That's at 10. You'll be 11. You're undersized. You're Jenny. I think you'll be undersized. Maybe. Oh no, just legal. What are we up to? 12 or 13, something like that. I'm not going to bag out, so I don't need to worry too much. Maybe 14. Undersized. Undersized, check you. I think you'll be undersized too. Oh, come on. Not your size, that's what that's about. 15, I think. Oh, you're definitely undersized, aren't you? Yes. Check you as well. I know you're undersized, I don't even need to check you. Yeah, okay. We're done. What are you? I think you'll be undersized one I saw, aren't you? Yeah.
This is the track I followed on the second day. Most of it's the trolling. Between the 2 days, the total track length was about 70 nautical miles, and I used about 75 litres of fuel to do that. A lot of that was slow speed trolling, which eats more fuel per nautical mile than travelling at cruise speed, but still not bad economy.
The fishing was really slow. I only got the one keeper squire at 38 centimetres. Not huge, but normally wouldn't keep them under 40, except when you haven't got anything else. Then you keep anything that's legal. I set a personal best record for catching grinner. There's 25 in that pile there, and I cut up 6 or 7 for burley while I was out there. So over 30 grinners. At this rate, I'll clean the bay out of grinners by myself. And bonito, I cut up 3 for bait while I was out there, so I caught 8 in total. And the crabs. I got a donut on the first lot of pickups of the pots, so I moved them, and I got 17 crabs out of that. So quite happy with that little effort. Good feed there for us. Okay, the easiest way to clean crabs, I'll use what I call a bread and butter knife. It comes with a dinner set, but it's got no edge worthy of the name, so I call it the bread and butter knife. It's not sharp. Just dig that in there and lift that flap back. Get your thumb in and peel it, and then pull backwards, and you'll pull most of the insides out with it. Then I just use the knife and scrape the gills off. A lot quicker when you're not explaining it to people. Very quick to do. Pull these little mandibles off, and that's it. We'll wash that out after. I'll just do the rest of these and get them ready first. The easiest way to clean them then, get all the gunk out of the inside, all their guts and everything. Hold them this way with the back of them towards you, the claws away, and just get the hose and just give it a squirt. And there we are, clean as, ready to cook. Now I prefer doing them this way. A lot of people cook them with the shell on and all the guts in them. We've tried it both ways, and my wife and I both reckon that they're better this way. Much better. My wife's nodding her head there.
For cooking the crabs, it depends a lot on how big your pot is, how many crabs you're putting in it, etc, etc, etc. But basically, for this size pot and having pretty much as many crabs as I can fit in it, I'll put about a dessert spoon of salt in for each crab into the water. Bring it to the boil, make sure the salt's all dissolved. Then I drop the crabs in as quickly as possible without splashing yourself. Wait for it to come back to the boil, because putting the crabs in is going to cool it down. So as soon as it comes back to the boil, turn the flame down so it's just a simmer, and then let it simmer for 10 minutes. If you've got less crabs in there, you might do it for less. It's all about the bulk of meat that you've got to cook. So, as I said, for this amount of crabs, 10 minutes works. Once you've done that, you need to get them out of the hot water straight away as soon as the time's up, and get them into a bucket of ice water. That stops them cooking, because the crabs will be hot for a while afterwards and they'll continue to cook. You want to stop that as quickly as possible, and that's what gives you the best meat, best flavour out of it. And in the ice water, I put some salt, not nearly as much as I put in the hot water, but in the bucket of ice water to cover these crabs, I'd probably put a couple of dessert spoons full of salt in that and whiz it around till it's all dissolved. Right. We just cook it in these big pots here. Got and to stand back in case it falls while you're moving it. Be ready to jump yourself. And then straight into the ice water with them. That'll stop them cooking, because they will continue to cook as long as you don't cool them down. They're still hot inside. And that brings us to the end of this video. Thanks for taking the time to watch it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learnt something from it. I'm going to do a video about catching crabs soon. Anything for beginners that want to catch some crabs, get into that. And I'll also do a video on showing you how to catch some live bait, etc. If you haven't tried that before, you really should try it. It will help your catch rate. Not only that, it's a lot cheaper. Once you're set up and got the initial cost out of the way, it's a lot cheaper to get your bait. Still need to have some bait with you just as a backup, just in case there's a situation where you don't get bait, which happens. If you do get bait, live bait is the best you can get. So anyway, stay tuned for them. Subscribe if you want to make sure you don't miss those videos. They'll come up in the next month, 6 weeks or so, something like that. Until then, good fishing.